All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a part of the market that most people they just ignore it. And it could totally flip how you look at the charts. We're not just talking price and time, we're talking about the actual force that moves them. We're talking about volume. So let me just ask you this. When you're looking at a standard stock chart, are you really only getting half the story? I think for a lot of us, the answer is a big yes, because there's this huge, critical piece of the puzzle that's just missing. Most chart analysis is kind of flat. It's just two dimensions, price moving up and down and time moving forward. But what if I told you there's a third dimension that makes the whole thing pop? Well, that dimension is volume. When you add it in, you're not looking at a flat picture anymore. You're looking at a 3D model of what's really going on. Adding volume is like unlocking a whole new layer of data. It shows you the raw power of supply and demand behind every single price move. It reveals the conviction, or the total lack of it, from the buyers and sellers. There's this fantastic saying that just nails it. Price action is king, but volume is the queen of the market. See, they work together. Price tells you what's happening, but volume tells you how much force is really behind that move. It's the full story. And look, this isn't just some clever trading proverb. This is backed by cold, hard data. So let's actually dig into the research that proves just how powerful volume can be. So check this out. A really deep 10-year study published by Atlantis Press did a head-to-head comparison. They took a super common price indicator, the moving average, or MA, and put it up against a version that was weighted by volume, the VWMA. The results, they were pretty staggering. Okay, so the first big thing they found was sensitivity. Just look at the difference here. The volume-weighted indicator lit up with trading signals in over 1,500 stocks, and the standard, price-only version, a measly 276. Just by adding volume, the indicator was suddenly seeing way more potential opportunities in the market. But hey, more signals don't mean much if they're not good signals, right? So here's the kicker. The study found that strategies using the volume-weighted indicator churned out an average profit margin that was almost 9% higher. I mean, that is a huge difference in performance. And it didn't stop there. The volume-weighted indicators also turned out to be more reliable, meaning they had a higher percentage of winning trades. And on top of all that, they actually lowered the risk, showing a smaller average loss when a trade went south. So let's recap. More signals, higher profit, and less risk. What's not to like? So the evidence is pretty darn clear. Volume matters a lot. But okay, how do we take this from a study and apply it to a live chart? How do we actually read these footprints of the market as they're being made? Let's get into the actual tools traders use to do just that. This is the one you've definitely seen before. Those vertical bars at the bottom of the chart, that's a volume histogram. It answers a really simple question. How much trading happened in a specific time period, like an hour or a day? It's a great place to start. But if you really want to understand the market structure, you need a more advanced tool, the volume profile. Now, instead of asking how much was traded over time, it asks how much was traded at a specific price. And that simple little shift in perspective, it's a game changer. It shows you the exact price levels where the real battles between buyers and sellers are going down. Now, inside that volume profile, there's one level that's king, the point of control, or POC. It's just the price where the most volume traded hands, the peak of the mountain. Think of it as the fair value area the market has agreed on. And the crazy part is how it often acts like a magnet, just pulling the price right back to it. Another crucial tool for tracking the big fish is the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. It might look like a regular moving average, but it's way smarter. It calculates the average price for the day, but, and this is key, it gives more weight to the prices where the most action happened. Why do we care? Because giant institutions use VWAP as their report card. They want to buy below it and sell above it. So by watching the VWAP, you're basically getting a sneak peek at how the smart money is grading their own performance. And right here, this is where it all clicks. Look at this chart. Price is trying to break through a key resistance level. So is it for real, or is it a trap? Well, the volume gives us the answer. See that massive spike in activity right at the breakout? That's not a bunch of small traders. That's the footprint of institutions putting serious money to work. That's our confirmation that this move is the real deal. To put it simply, volume is your evidence. It confirms the move. It separates real conviction from just wishful thinking, and that can save you from a lot of painful fakeouts. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. What's the actual edge this gives a trader in the real world? Let's quickly break down the pros and, the cons of using volume analysis. So what's the real payoff here? Well, you get to follow the footprints of the smart money. You can spot trends taking shape earlier than most. You learn to tell the difference between a real breakout and a frustrating fake out. And maybe one of the biggest things, it grounds your decisions in actual data, not just fear or greed. It gives you a solid reason to get into or out of a trade. But of course, it's not a magic wand. Nothing is. It definitely takes practice to read it correctly. Volume can sometimes be manipulated, and a lot of institutional trading happens in dark pools off the main exchanges. So you gotta remember, volume is the powerful queen for sure, but she always has to be working alongside the king, price action. So while most traders are still stuck staring at a flat, two-dimensional world of just price and time, you can now see the third dimension. You can see the volume. The only question left is, what new stories are you going to find in the charts now that you can finally see the full picture?